back in South Florida, an event for the kids.
On the greens, we've got your winners for this week's PGA Tour stop.
And President Trump wants Redskins back. All of this and more on the sideline. Hello South Florida and welcome to the Sideline, the place where you get all the highlights for your South Florida teams. I'm Mauro Rueda.
And I'm Julian Lascano, and the Sideline starts now. A local organization is helping kids get ready to kick off their first day of school with a special giveaway, and it wasn't just that.
Kids met professional boxers and got to practice their boxing and basketball skills with coaches. Sideline Valentina Gaspari has more on how the Bay to Bay Youth Boxing Foundation is making a change on and off the ring.
Are you guys excited for the school year to start?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Bay to Bay Youth Boxing Foundation is uniting kids across South Florida with their 1-2 combo, sports sessions, and a back-to-school giveaway.
Anybody in need is welcome to come, and that's who we're targeting.
Owner and founder Jeffrey Ports says he started this South Florida organization to be a helping hand.
This event has been very awesome, amazing for the community. I'm glad they came out.
The energy was high at Mitchell Moore Park in Pompano Beach on Saturday for Bay to Bay's inaugural back-to-school bash. From free haircuts to boxing sessions, the event was a real knockout, giving away more than 1,000 backpacks filled with school supplies for the little learners to the soon-to-be graduates.
A ruler, some photos, and I have 3 notebooks.
With the new school year just around the corner, these kids are ready to start their first day of classes in full swing with everything they need thanks to Bay to Bay. And why not have some fun along the way too? All right, go long.
Basketball and swimming were just some of the highlights, but the special moment was meeting and talking to professional boxers like Lorenzo Medina.
I said no matter what you choose to do in life, put 100% focus into that. That's all you have.
But to Ports, it's more than just paying it forward. He says this is only the start.
I was one of these kids at one time, and now I have so much. It's because of things like this, and that's what I want to get back.
For Caplin News, I'm Valentina Gaspari.
Miami bounces back this weekend with a big performance in New Jersey. After a disappointing defeat midweek, the Herons were losing to the New York Red Bulls in the first 15 minutes. Then it was all Miami until the end. An equalizer by Jordi Alba and braces from Telasco Segovia and Lionel Messi gave Inter a definitive 4-goal advantage. Final score was Red Bulls 1, Inter Miami 5.
Kansas City takes Game 3 to avoid a sweep by the Marlins. Rose Chris Bubik dealt 5 shutout innings, Salvador Perez home read and doubled, and Miami's late rally fell short. Bobby Witt Jr. crushed his league-leading 33rd double, which is part of the 5 Royal doubles. The final score was 7-4, but don't worry Miami, Yuri Perez takes the mound as the Fish host the Padres to the Open Series tonight. Time to reel in a win.
Has a 2-out, 2-run double.
Scottie Scheffler continues his run of dominance following his latest PGA Tour victory. Scottie Scheffler has done it again. With pinpoint accuracy and remarkable consistency, Scheffler claimed his second major title of the year. Now with 4 major trophies to his name at age 29, Scheffler has cemented his place at the top of the sport. As his era of excellence continues, the question remains, just how high can he rank among the all-time greats?
President Trump is making controversial calls in the NFL, threatening to block the Washington Commanders' new stadium deal unless they change their name back to the Redskins. In a Truth Social post, Trump called the Commanders' name ridiculous and even urged the Cleveland Guardians to revert to Indians, saying, "Make Indians great again." But Commanders owner Josh Harris standing firm, telling Fox News they're, quote, "moving forward with the current name." Now time for everyone's favorite segment, this week's biggest W's and L's. Mauro, what do you have for us?
Well, my biggest L will be Inter Miami. My biggest W will be Inter Miami, as they won, as we mentioned before, in the past weekend, 1-5 on the road. They started losing to the Red Bulls early and came back in a big way. Telasco Segovia has been huge for them since he signed, and Lionel Messi, listen to this, Julian, has scored 8 goals in the last 5 games.
Wow.
It's making the extraordinary routine. It's a good display from them in the MLS. They've won the last 5 games in a row before their defeat midweek, and they had a great performance in the Club World Cup, making it to round 16. I don't think many of us expected that, so that was amazing. Yeah. With 3 games in hand, they're 7 points away from the leaders, and they're still in contention for that top spot in the Eastern Conference. Let's keep in mind they do have a score to settle, as they lost in the first round of the playoffs last year.
Yeah, of course, and Inter Miami do have a hopeful future, but for my biggest W, we'll have it over to England with the Premier League, as champions Liverpool FC seem to be dominating the transfer window with unbelievable signings. Taking it back a couple months ago, I mean, we lost Trent Alexander-Arnold to Madrid. He went over and signed a ridiculous deal that ended up helping Madrid a lot, but it left the future of Liverpool uncertain. There were a lot of sides and a lot of things that would have happened, but we managed to sign Frimpong, an incredible right back and an even extraordinary talent from Leverkusen in Germany. And we also managed to sign Kerkez and Florian Wirtz, 2 incredible signings. So I genuinely think that Liverpool have an incredible future with these signings, and maybe even a more hopeful Premier League next season.
I believe they do as well. Now, I think they should strive for the Champions League. I think that's their next step. For
more
sure,
Champions League trophies, more trophies in the international level and European level.
For my biggest L, I'm picking the Marlins after their loss to the Kansas City Royals yesterday. They tried to pull off a comeback in the 9th inning, but as we saw before, came up short. However, I think we need to put things into perspective, because nobody, or very few people, expected the Marlins to have the record that they have in July, and they've been one of the hottest teams in baseball in the last few weeks, with Kyle Stowers leading the way. So I believe, even though they're the biggest L, there are not many sports going on right now, they're the biggest L, but it's still a very good week for South Florida sports overall.
Of course. And for my biggest L, we'll take us to UFC 318, where Dustin Poirier's most recent UFC match and final appearance, when he faced off against Max Holloway in New Orleans. That bout ended in a unanimous decision defeat in favor of Holloway, who retained the symbolic BMF championship. This was Poirier's biggest loss in terms of significance, and arguably the most emotional, because it served as the final chapter of his legendary 15-year career. Despite the loss, Poirier remained competitive, even appearing to drop Holloway in the second round, but Holloway's speed, volume, striking, and control edged him to a victory.
I think it's an amazing story, even though he didn't win.
Of course.
The 15-year career, it's been
and he had an amazing career.
Amazing.
An incredible career.
That's the word for it. Transfer rumors are swirling, and could a big name come to Miami? Our discussion will be next.
And game picks are in. We hear from the sideline on who we'll think will take the dubs. We'll take a timeout and be back after the break.
Radcliffe Art and Design Incubator is the velocity accompanying the fellow's rudder, as in a boat. Unless there is movement or action, the planned direction is of little consequence. We encourage the creative ideas into action, and from the experience of doing, we critically assess the feedback, adjust, and set out to rediscover the potentialities of an entrepreneurial mindset.
Stem is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
And one of the best midfielders in the world is now linked with Inter Miami.
Inter Miami has brought in another familiar face for Lionel Messi, Argentina's teammate Rodrigo de Paul. This move comes as a surprise to soccer fans around the world as they question why a 31-year-old playing in one of Europe's top 5 leagues would leave to play in the MLS.
We bring in our analyst Alejandro Hernandez. Well, why do you think Inter Miami acquired Rodrigo de Paul?
Thank you, Julian and Mauro, for having me. I'm good to be back. And really, let's get into this. So I believe the number one priority of Inter Miami right now is to retain Lionel Messi beyond the 2025 season. So bringing in DePaul kind of serves as a way of pleasing Messi and keeping him around the club, bringing in one of his Argentinian teammates. And another reason why I believe this move makes sense for Inter Miami is because they're bringing in a potential replacement for Sergio Busquets, who is now 37 years old, at the tail end of his prime. I believe he's out of his prime now. And he has also not expressed interest in renewing his contract with the club. I also believe this makes sense for the team and on the field because DePaul serves as a defensive engine, and that's what the team's really lacking right now. They're lacking defensive intensity, and they're lacking really aggression when they don't have the ball, and that's exactly what DePaul offers them on the field.
Well, Alejandro, we know that Inter Miami will benefit a lot from having DePaul. Do you think DePaul will benefit from being here in Inter Miami? What's in for him?
Really, career-wise, I don't really see how this benefits DePaul because really players move to the MLS in Saudi Arabia when they're in their late to mid-30s, and he's still 31. He still has about 4 or 5 years left in his prime playing European football. So legacy-wise, career-wise, I don't really see how this benefits him. Really, the only way I could see it benefiting him is because he wants to continue playing with his idol for club and country, and that way he is accomplishing this by joining Inter Miami, playing with Lionel Messi. They've obviously had great success with Argentina, winning a World Cup, 2 Copa Americas, a Finalísima. He wants to continue that legacy with club and country with Lionel Messi, so that's why I believe this move makes sense for him.
Well, thank you so much, Alejandro, for your game picks. And although it's a slow season for sports in Miami, there are still a couple of teams with games ahead.
That's right. We have Sideline's Dylan Pese for these games win picks.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's Game Picks. I am Dylan Pizet. Let's start off with tonight's game between the Miami Marlins and the San Diego Padres. They have an at-home advantage today playing at Lone Depot Park, and even though the Marlins have been up a little and down this season, I like the way some of their hitters have been looking lately. Otto Lopez and Xavier Edwards have both been putting together solid at-bats, and Kyle Stowers is having a strong season with 21 homers and 59 RBIs. On the Padres side, they've been decent as underdogs but inconsistent. Their implied win probability sits at just under 50%, and I just do not trust their offense to keep up with Miami's momentum right now. Should be a fun one, but I'm locking in the Marlins for tonight. Next, we have Inter Miami versus FC Cincinnati. Yes, we just played Cincinnati last Wednesday, and it was not pretty. Miami lost 3-0, which ended our winning streak, so you know they'll be coming into this one with something to prove. Since then, though, Miami smashed the New York Red Bulls 5-1, showing they can shake off a tough loss and keep pushing. Messi has been on another level, scoring in 5 league games and finishing with 2+ goals on target in 10 straight matches. He's got 16 goals and 8 assists this season, and you can bet he'll want redemption after that last game. Cincinnati is a strong team, no doubt, but if Miami shows up focused, I like their chances. My pick has to go to Inter Miami. Well, that's all the time we have for Game Picks. I am Dylan Pizet.
And just a reminder, if you want to keep up with more updates, fun segments, and more from our crew, you can follow our Instagram for all things Sideline. Follow us at sideline.caplin. That's it for today. I am Mauro Rueda.
And I'm Julian Escano. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next week on The Sideline.